What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the 12 Games of Christmas presented by the Unlockables podcast. My name is Eric. I am your host. As always, I'd like to thank you for tuning in wherever, whenever in time and space you might be located to celebrate the holidays with us. That is right. It is the 12 Games of Christmas, celebrating 12 of my favorite games that I played this year and celebrating 1 year of an incredible journey with the Unlockables. We've been going strong for several days now. We're getting into the home stretch, but we've still got some great games to talk about and some great guests left to have on the show. Speaking of great guests, my guest today is another former guest of the Unlockables podcast and a host of his own show, along with his co-host, his Pixel Project Radio. He sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows if you've been bad or good, so be good for goodness sake. It is my good friend, Rick Firestone from Pixel Project Radio. Sir, how you doing this evening?
I'm doing well. I know how you've been doing because, as you mentioned, I do see you when you're sleeping, and I know when you're awake.
Rick knows your transgressions in the deep of night when you think no one is watching you, but he knows.
Repent not your sin, for I know.
Oh, man. Nothing like a little ominous surveillance to get you in the Christmas spirit. But Rick, welcome back to the show, sir. I appreciate you giving me a little bit of your time to talk about this great game we have coming up. And you were on the show pretty early on when I pitched this new idea. You came on it and talked to me a little bit about your show and just a little bit about your history with video games. So before we get to that, I just wanted to say I really appreciate you being a part of the inaugural first year of Unlockables. I don't think that the show would have been as successful if you hadn't been there and supported me along the way. You've given me a lot of advice. We've talked in Discord. So I just wanted to express that at the end of the year and say I really appreciate you being along for this ride.
Well, the feeling is mutual, man. I really love the show, obviously, or I wouldn't be here twice over. It's a great show. I think you're doing awesome work, and it honestly gets better every time I hear it too. So keep doing what you're doing. We'll keep doing what we're doing. Everybody's doing a great job.
Right. I'm glad to have that outside perspective because from my point of view, the show just gets worse every episode I put out. So I appreciate you saying that. And I'm sure there's many, many years in the future of collaboration and great things with you and with our podcasting community that we're a part of. Speaking of great things, we're also here to talk about an incredible game that we both played this year. And that game is none other than Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. Shredder's Revenge, better known by its Christian name Turtles in Time remake. It was developed by Tribute Games and published by Dotemu. Released worldwide on June 16th, 2022, and came out on the PS5 later in November of this year. Ratings for TMNT, caught me slacking on my notes there. Left in the prior game. Metacritic 87 on the Switch. That's where I played it. A Game Informer gave it a 8.75 out of 10. GameSpot 8 out of 10. IGN 8 out of 10. And just a couple of statistics here. It sold over 1 million copies in its first week out, and it has been nominated for multiple awards at the upcoming Game Awards and the Golden Joystick Awards. I invented the Christmas meter for the 12 Games of Christmas. I gave this one 3 out of 10 candy canes. I don't really feel too much Christmas here. I mean, nothing like a good Statue of Liberty heist to get you in the holiday mood. But I mean, if Die Hard's a Christmas movie, then why can't Shredder's Revenge be a Christmas game? Am I right? Maybe my logic's a little bit flawed there. But that being said, Rick, I just wanted to kind of ask you, we both played this game this year. What was your experience playing Shredder's Revenge in 2022?
Yeah, so I also played this on the Switch. I picked it up I honestly didn't do any research into it. This was before I knew that I would commit to the Steam Deck, and before that I knew that crossplay wasn't a thing. So otherwise I might have bought it on Steam, but I bought it on Switch. It looks fantastic on the Switch OLED, so there's, nothing wrong there. It was, to be perfectly honest, it was awesome playing this game. It was, I grew up playing with a good friend of mine as a kid, a lot of beat 'em ups like Altered Beast. I think we might have played some of the Turtles games on Sega, but I'm not quite sure, and among others. And it's exactly like that. It is a perfect love letter. And, I also grew up watching the show. The show is a little before my time because I was born at the very end of 92. Mm-hmm. But my grandma, what she would do is she would like videotape on VHS, just record the shows that her kids really liked. So, I was a kid in the 90s, but I grew up watching like HR Puffin stuff and shit like that. And the Turtles cartoon from the late 80s was one that I watched quite a bit. This and Street Sharks were two of my favorite.
Oh, man. The Street Sharks pull.
Yeah, man. No, this was great. The thing that I love the most about this game, and there are many things, but it's just such a breath of fresh air in 2022 to get into a game where you just get in and play. Right. There's not any grandiose dialogue. There's not any showing off of the engine with cutscenes. There's no lore. There's not mechanics. There's some mechanics, but you just get in and play, and that's awesome. It's so good.
I agree with, and I have a lot of the same thoughts as you. First of all, man, we're about to go down a 90s nostalgia rabbit hole here, but I was born in 91, so just a little bit before you were kind of the same era. And I came in a little bit later than the Turtles cartoon, but I'm obviously there still showing reruns, so I remember seeing it on the TV, and it was one of those franchises where I was just growing up hooked immediately. It was like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Man, I haven't thought about Street Sharks until you said Street Sharks, and now it's all the memories have come flooding back. I'm pretty sure I had Street Sharks like Velcro shoes in kindergarten. I was trying to be the cool kid, so
I one of the few pictures of me as a kid that I still have is a photo from Halloween where I went as Ripster. He wasn't my favorite. It was always Streaks that was my favorite, but they didn't have a costume of him.
Right. So yeah, it was very much that time of all of these franchises that were like doubled as action figure toys, sales vehicles. Like, so you have your TMNT, your Power Rangers, Street Sharks, Mighty Max, Superhuman Samurai was another one that I watched, and I fell in love with the Turtles immediately. They were up there. I had the action figures alongside Power Rangers, and so naturally, when I got a Super Nintendo, two of the games that I got. I don't remember when, because it's all kind of a hodgepodge back then, was one was the infamous Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters, which was my introduction to fighting games. And then one was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4, Turtles in Time. And I have a very, very strong nostalgic connection to Turtles in Time, despite the fact that I haven't played it in a while, so I'm not sure how well it's aged. But I played the absolute crap out of Turtles in Time when I was a kid. It's one of my clearest memories of sitting in front of the Super Nintendo, in front of the tube TV with my friends, playing that game. And one of my proudest achievements that I remember very clearly, that we beat it on the hardest difficulty at a young age. So that was my gamer moment right there. It's my gamer cred. No Dark Souls for your boy, but I beat Turtles in Time on the hardest difficulty. So come at me.
In some ways, those old Sega games are a little harder than Dark Souls. In some ways.
In some ways, right. So naturally, when I saw the trailer for this, I don't remember if it was like E3 or whatever, all of the various showcases that we get vomited at week after week. I was instantly sold on this because it was just such a rush of nostalgia. So yeah, picked it up day one. Perfect game on the Switch. And like you said, it's so... I'm in the middle of playing Xenoblade Chronicles 3 right now. And that's the exact opposite of the spectrum, where it's like there are like legit 40-minute cutscenes in that game between gameplay. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's just, I picked it up and played like the first 6 levels before getting on and talking to you. It's so nice just to be able to pick it up. Like within 30 seconds, you're in a game and you're just going. And it's just, yeah, there's definitely something about it. So I definitely agree with you there.
And we should say too, like I love games that have extended lore or long cutscenes. Like I'm a big fan of the Xeno series and the Yakuza series and JRPGs in general. But it is a fresh sip of water. It's a breath of fresh air to play something where you just get in and go. It's like Tony Hawk on PS1. You start it up and within 20 seconds you're in the game. It's great.
Anytime I hear Superman by Goldfinger, I'm instantly transported back to a different time and a different place when things were just a little bit better. Speaking of, I guess we're going to dive into this right away because this is one of the most interesting things I found during my research. The soundtrack for this game is actually pretty awesome. I was listening to it today at work. If you would have come to me a year ago and said that we were going to have Ghostface Killah and Raekwon on this soundtrack, I probably would have laughed at you, but hey, Wu-Tang Clan is one of the things that came out of this game, and I listened to that song today. It's actually a pretty freaking good song.
We owe the Wu-Tang Clan's existence to this game.
Exactly right. Nobody knew who they were before this game got successful. Obviously, that is the only reason.
I do have a mild hot take. I do like the soundtrack a lot. I think it's very, very good.
Okay.
I think the one track that I don't like is the remix of the theme that plays in the intro.
I think that, so I agree with that. Listening to that, it doesn't sound the way that I remember in my brain growing up, right? I think that's the thing. Is that what you're referencing, or you just didn't like the way it was put together in general?
Well, I wasn't a fan of the way it was put together. So
Okay.
I listened to them both back to back a couple of times, and the original is just, I think it's one of the greatest TV show themes of all time.
Right.
Like top 5, easy.
Yes.
It's so good. And it's incredible because Chuck Lorre wrote that in I think it's 48 hours. Like it was a really last minute thing.
That's insane.
And it's just a hard hitting 80s straight ahead thing. And what I don't like about this reimagining of it, it's not that it's not good. Like it sounds good, but the game itself is such a love letter to the older styles and to, I don't want to say nostalgia, but I'll say nostalgia. And it does all of that so well and so faithfully. But this reimagining of the theme is just too busy. They're trying to do too much with it. There's a quasi halftime break in it. There's just a lot of extraneous percussion. They left out the shouts from the Turtles, which I was really bummed about.
Right.
You know, it's one of the best parts of the original theme. Like, Donatello does machines. That's a fact, Jack. It's one of the coolest parts, and they took them all away. But I just, it's a little, no, I don't want to say corporate, but it just doesn't have the grit that the original had.
I can understand that because, like you said, that theme is an all-time iconic cartoon opener, I think, and it's even to this day, people that I would say even maybe didn't watch it or exposed to it, so it's know the theme song, and it is a very straightforward theme song. And yeah, I can definitely see what you say about it being a little bit too busy now that I kind of referenced that in my mind. One thing I did kind of love, and like you said, this is a love letter and an homage. Probably the most famous thing about Turtles in Time for Super Nintendo or the arcade is probably that first level where it's Big Apple 2 a.m. and I love that the second level of this game and the track for it is Big Apple 3 p.m. And then, like you said, it's little things like that just give it to it's it's just, I can't even describe it. It made me feel it's just warm and comforting. And you really hit the nail on the head where it was we've had a year of all of these big games coming out and all these huge cinematic sweeping AAA masterpieces, whether it's Horizon or Elden Ring or God of War or all of these things. And this just came out and it's just comforting. And it was kind of in the middle of summer too, where we kind of had this break between all this crazy stuff that was coming out. You know, we'd gotten past the busy part of spring, the hype around Elden Ring had started to die down a little bit. And this was just kind of right in the middle of summer. And perfect summer game. It was great. One thing, like you said, in the intro song for the cartoon where it had like the Turtles voices. One really cool thing they got to do was they had all the original voice cast for the Turtles come back and do all the voices. Cam Clark, Barry Gordon, Rob Paulson, Townsend Coleman. I don't know most of these guys too much. I think I have the familiarity the most with Rob Paulson of Pinky and the Brain fame, Animaniacs. He's done so much cartoon voiceover work that's absolutely incredible.
I think he did Carl Weezer too, if I'm not mistaken.
He did do Carl Weezer, yes. Legendary voice performance of Carl Weezer. I won't try to do that on the show. Absolutely not.
Yeah, I knew as soon as I heard them. I didn't know straight away that they were the original cast, but I knew it was either that or just really, really good imitators. And it's a great touch too, you know, because like another beat 'em up remaster that I've been thinking about a lot this year for some reason, I do not know why, is Shaq Fu. And that game originally wasn't a beat 'em up, but they turned it into one, and it was a mess back then. It's a different kind of a mess now, but there's so much talking in that game. There's just constant talking and joke cracking. There's not that much in this. Like you get little quips, like if you try to do like a super and you don't have enough super meter, you get the I'm one tired turtle. But other than that, and other than like when you die, there's not really that much talking, and it's kind of great.
If I would have put money on a bet for this that Shaq Fu would come up in the 12 games of Christmas, I wouldn't have believed you. But here we are. Did they release that this year for that remaster, or is that last couple years, you think?
That's like 2017, 2018.
Oh, man.
It's
did they bring Shaq back to voice that one?
Oh, yeah. They did.
Spectacular. I'm sure that is a video game indeed. But like you said, and I think that lends to, like, the voices are in there just enough to kind of itch that nostalgia, but it lends to that, like you said, despite the fact that there's not these soaring, beautiful cutscenes, there's still a story being told here. And the story is pretty much conveyed in the levels, in the game, in the way it's designed, and in like these in-between level slideshows that you get after every level you complete, or going into the start of the level, or whatever. And I think that is an incredible way of storytelling. It's very minimalistic. You get everything you need to know just by playing the game and like beating the levels. And I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, the slideshows were a really, really nice touch. I like that they didn't try to make like too much animation or make it something that it wasn't. They really kept it to what it was in honor of. And I think it's great. It's really great.
It would be really easy to kind of overdo and go overboard like that. Like if they would have tried to put in like animated cutscenes out like the cartoon style or something like that. So yeah, I'm glad they kept it to the way it is. One thing that I'm glad that they made a change from, and I'm drawing on my Turtles in Time experience here, is the roster of characters. I believe in the first, in Turtles in Time, you only got to play as, you know, Leo, Donnie, Raphael, Michelangelo. And that was pretty much what you were limited to. And I'm glad that they included Master Splinter, Casey Jones, April O'Neil. And I'm especially glad that they included April because a lot of the times, especially in those older TMNT games, April was kind of like the stereotypical like damsel in distress. And I think it's fucking awesome that you can be here and just get to whoop some ass. And her character is actually really great and really strong in this game. She's like maybe one of my second favorite after Donatello, but I think that was a really nice touch that they had. Okay,
so Donatello's your favorite then?
Yeah, are we going to get into who we liked and which turtle's the best?
I mean, we
have to. Yes. Who are you using, Rick?
It's always Raphael, first one, of course, all the time.
Of course. I like Donatello, and I just always have for whatever reason. Purple's not even like really my favorite color. Red's my favorite color, so you figure I'd like Raphael. Or Leo's objectively like cool because he's got like two swords. But no, for whatever reason, I was just drawn to Donatello as a kid, and that's who I liked. Have you ever heard the theory, and I don't know if it's specifically stated in like TMNT lore, but Splinter gave them their weapons based on like the opposite of their personalities?
I have heard that, yeah.
I think that's a fascinating one where it's like, oh, Donatello's the technology guy, so he just gave him a stick. Or like Raphael's the hothead, so he gave him like the shortest, the sai, the weapon that's like the shortest and probably like the least lethal. And Michelangelo is a party guy and lacks concentration, so he gave him objectively like the weapon that requires the most concentration. And Leo is like the one that doesn't want to kill, so he gives him the swords, which are objectively the most dangerous. So just little things like that. There's your fun TMNT fact for the day. Did you spend most of your time in story mode? Did you dabble with the arcade mode a little bit? What did you find playing those two different modes?
I played mostly story mode. I did switch back and forth between all of the different characters because I wanted to see just how they handled, because they've got stats in this game, which is interesting and a difference from Turtles in Time.
Yes. That's a difference coming from that arcade era where it was just you had your life bar and you're playing the game and that's it. They did add like a little bit of sprinkling of RPG leveling elements in it, which it's fine. I would say that if they would have went overboard with it and started introducing like skill trees and stats and all the stuff you could level up, that would probably be a little bit too invasive. But the little bit that they did, that's fine. I understand they want to make you feel like you're progressing as a reward, which is fine. It's good to see the numbers go up. I like that a lot. I think I spent most of my time in story mode as well, just because I didn't want to be frustrated in arcade mode. I'm a big baby now. Did you explore any of the online or the co-op functionality of it at all?
No, whenever this was really hot, like when it first came out, like I said, I didn't do any research into this, so I got it on Switch, just expecting there to be crossplay, and of course there is not, or at least there wasn't at the time. I don't think there is now either, but I haven't got to play this with anyone, which is a shame because I really think this game would be better with other people.
I've only seen video capture of the co-op functionality. I think it's too, we kind of talked about how rare it is in this age of video games to have a game just like this where you just jump in. I think that co-op functionality, especially if you're trying to play local co-op like on the couch, is something that's becoming incredibly rare in this day and age, and something that I kind of do miss out on from time to time. There's so much of this focus now of playing online or getting in the Discord chat with your buddies and playing that way, that games just don't have this focus on creating an in-living room experience. And that's really all they used to be, was an in-living room experience that you could play with people. I'm thinking about the last couple of truly in-living room experiences that I can think of is one, I played Cuphead with my friend, which had co-op, local co-op functionality. And this would be the other one if I got anyone to play with it. And between those, I can't really think of anything else. It's all meant to be like online.
And there's nothing wrong with that. You know,
Yes.
I think it's great to be able to hop into a Discord call and play like multiplayer games with your friends who might live in a different state. You know, I being somebody that has gone through music school, a lot of my friends do not live in the same state as me. Like we're all everywhere. And that's really cool. For as much as I don't like the game It Takes Two, I really don't think that's a very good game. One thing that they did really well is like with the online multiplayer, it's required multiplayer, right? But they were going for that couch co-op feel. And you can play couch co-op, like you can, but you can also do it online. But when you play online with somebody, they split the screen down vertically in twain. So you're on one side and your partner is on the other, even if you're remote playing. And I think that's really cool. So I know with most games online, you know, it's your screen and you can, you know, everybody else is just an NPC, or they might as well be. This is kind of not that, because everybody shares the same sort of field. I don't feel like I'm articulating what I mean very well, but I think like you know what I mean, right? In terms of just how the multiplayer is presented.
Yeah, 100%. Like most of the time when you're playing like multiplayer thing, and I agree 100% too. This is not me bashing online games at all. Online gaming has been one of the few ways that I have maintained relationships, like you said, with my college friends who live far away from me. It's not feasible for me to see them in person all the time. That's been one of the only ways. So I think online multiplayer is a blessing for, you know, as we get older and have less time to maintain relationships that we probably otherwise would not have been able to. But no, I get 100% what you're saying. It's a different experience when you're jumping into like your war zones or your Fortnites or whatever, and you have your singular screen, but it's multiplayer and you're playing with everybody. But this one, to like, you're kind of all confined in like the same field of view and you see what everybody's constantly doing. And I think that's, like I said, it's I don't want to say like it's a lost art, because it obviously is still being done, but it's in the AAA space. It's not being done. It's being done in this smaller degree. So that was just kind of the point I was making with it. And I understand your point 100%.
I don't mean to go on to another tangent here, but something that I just thought of as you were articulating your side of things. One of the things that I think makes this so successful as a co-op thing is the color palette. You could tell where everything is. Everything is so clear. The colors are just popping and vibrant. I'm thinking back to things that get remastered, like Halo is the classic example, where like they remaster it, and things look more quote unquote realistic, but in doing so, colors just become muted and more quote unquote realistic. That is not so here. Like everything is very vibrant and poppy, like in an 80s SNES game. It's perfect.
Oh yeah, even like less of your, I would say probably more like your mundane, like your background colors, even like your grays and your concretes and stuff like that, like wall palettes, like that stuff. It's designed in such a way that you can very clearly identify where everything is, and I think it lends to that style. And that's something that, again, I feel like it's kind of a lost art because, like you said, the original. That's a perfect example you came up with. It's the original Halo. It's like that game was. The elites were bright colored and everything was bright colored. The plasma grenades and the grunts and all that stuff was bright colored because, if you look at video footage from back then, that stuff was like, back then we thought it was great. It was mind blowing, but just seeing how far we've come now, like it doesn't even compare. Not at all. That stuff was colored that way because that made it easier to identify objects against backgrounds that weren't as detailed. And as we went on and were able to add more detail and things could be more photorealistic, I feel like we kind of lost that because you're trying to make the colors blend as much as possible to make it feel less video gamey. But I play video games so that things feel more video gamey, and I want those bright colors.
Or even things that don't explicitly look realistic, like Fortnite, like you mentioned, is a good example. Mm-hmm. It's bright, it's a bright color palette, but everything looks the same. Mm-hmm. Everything just blends into each other. Whereas in Turtles in Time, the enemies stand out from the background. There is never any question as to whether or not there's an enemy on the screen. You can always see it. That purple or pink or yellow foot soldier will always pop.
And there were never moments when I was playing that I felt like I was lost on screen either. Even among some of the more busier moments, like I'm thinking of the surfing, the kind of like surfing levels when you're on the highway surfing, or the zoo level with kind of like the stampeding animals. I was always able to very clearly identify where I was in that space. It was never overwhelming. I never felt like there were, like, don't get me wrong, there can be a lot of things on screen at once, but I never felt like there were too many things on screen at once to keep track of because everything was so identifiable. Like I said, this was a shorter game. This is probably going to be one of these shorter 12 Games of Christmas episodes because it very much is what it is. It is a homage to a beat 'em up that came out, or the series of beat 'em up Turtles games that came out on the SNES, on the Sega, in those late 80s, early 90s era. They did too this year release the Cowabunga collection, which is a collection of all those older games. I would be interested to go back and play and experience those to kind of see like how it stacks up against this. But I'm kind of terrified because I don't know if I want my nostalgia ruined and my childhood ruined. So that would definitely happen. But I think that we have pretty much hammered this one. It sounds like it's a big recommend for both me and Rick to play this game in 2022. It's certainly a shorter experience. It's something that you can pick up and play through, and you can pick it up and play like anytime. It has a pretty deep combat system, but you can just pick it up and mash buttons and get through it just fine. It doesn't matter. You can master the skill to any degree, any level that you want to. And I think that's pretty great. There's a very high skill ceiling. The floor is very low, and you can be anywhere in there and still play the game and have fun. And that's accessibility at its best. And if you're still struggling, then just turn the difficulty down and beat the shit out of some ninjas. I don't know. That always feels good to do after a long day at work. One thing I wanted to mention too, I thought of this now. We mentioned the color palette. I love all the little Foot Clan ninjas, like the different things they're doing throughout the levels. Like in the news level, they're typing on computers, or you're in the mall, they're like serving food, or they're carrying shopping bags, or riding motorcycles. It's like these guys are just, they're almost like minions. They're doing everything. They're just driving around doing everything.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool too, because some of them will be carrying like TVs or trash cans to throw at you. And if you time it right, you could slide into them and they'll drop it. It's pretty great. Or you could just kick stuff at them too, like shopping carts and clothes racks and all those things.
Right. It's got the standard beat 'em up stuff with that modern age polish. And I think that is a glowing recommend from both of us, Rick. And we're right at about where I like these episodes to be. Like I said, there's not like this one is pretty much packaged the way it is. So it's a recommend from me. It sounds like it's a recommend from you, Rick. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially handheld, Steam Deck or Switch. It's a good time.
It is a perfect game for handheld. I agree. I'd be curious to try it out on PlayStation 5, but that just seems like it defeats the purpose if you're asking me. So, yeah. Rick, thank you so much for giving me a little bit of your time tonight, sir. This has been really great. It was awesome to catch up with you. In case this is someone's first episode, do you want to tell the people where they can find you and what you do?
Oh, sure. You could find our show on Instagram, Twitter, pretty much everywhere that you would expect to, as well as any of your favorite podcasting applications. Sorry, my cat is trying to jump onto my desk.
I'm very distracted right now.
I'm trying to prevent it. But you can look up Pixel Project Radio. Eric has been on the show in the past on the Fire Emblem episode.
Yes.
And let's just say that you might find him on the show again, and you might have a little deja vu.
That's ominous. I don't know what you mean. We don't have anything planned. Again, very distracted by the cat, but yes. And if you don't believe his sales pitch, let me pitch it for you. Pixel Project Radio, in my opinion, it is one of my favorite shows. It is, as soon as an episode comes out, I'm listening to it. It's in my weekly 10-day rotation because you do a 10-day episode schedule release. It is one of the smartest, most well thought out conversations about video games that you will hear on the internet, period. And that's my sales pitch. So go listen to Pixel Project Radio. It is fantastic. Rick, thank you again for joining me, sir. I know that you have your hands full currently at the moment.
Literally, my mic stand is shaking because my fat cat is on my desk.
Well, we will let you go so that you can give the cat all the attention that it deserves, certainly. And thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in once again for 12 Games of Christmas. I really appreciate it, as always. And I won't leave you with a Christmas message this time. I'll just leave you with a good old hearty cowabunga. It's pizza time. Have a good night, everybody.